Hello, families. My name is Beth Hudson, and I'm with the Exceptional Children's Pre-K program. I want to thank you for taking the time to be with me today as I talk about the next big step for your preschool child, and that's kindergarten transition. This is a recorded session, so there will not be an opportunity for you to ask questions. We encourage you to reach out to your child's preschool teacher if you have questions after this session. So let's get started. What does kindergarten transition really mean? Well, the simple definition of transition means moving from one place to another. Going to kindergarten is an important life event. Preschoolers can feel excited and a little bit worried too. Families have similar feelings knowing their child is going to big school. Those feelings can intensify when you have a child with an IEP. Union County Public Schools is committed to making your child's kindergarten transition smooth and successful. Our pre-K program has designed a kindergarten transition process that meets the needs of students, parents, and schools. For UCPS, kindergarten transition involves a process that has you as the family, your child's pre-K teacher, and the school-age team. The process involves collaboration on appropriate IEP goals for kindergarten based on the needs of your child. That collaboration starts with the pre-K teacher and the school-age team. The end of the process requires an IEP meeting with you and your child's pre-K teacher and possibly school-age staff to make decisions on goals needed for kindergarten, any accommodations needed, and best placement decisions. Decisions on placement are based on your child's strengths and needs and ability to access the regular curriculum or the need for an adapted curriculum. So we're going to talk about those placement options for kindergarten in just a few minutes. We want to start off this information session with a quick video about kindergarten and what to expect. I know so many of you have questions about what kindergarten might look like, worries that your child will fit in, make friends, and of course, those academic goals for your child. So this video is just general information about what to expect in kindergarten. After the video, we'll move into information about educational settings for a child with an IEP. So let's take a look.
So one of the projects I've done with parents on the first day of school is based on the book called The Kissing Hand by Audrey Penn. And in this book, the little raccoon is going off to his first day of school, and he's very worried and sad and nervous and goes through all those feelings our kindergartners feel. And I had the parents trace their hand on a piece of paper, and we put it up on our kissing hand wall so that whenever the students feel that they're missing home, they can go up and find their mom or dad's hand and remind themselves that they're just a few hours away from seeing them again. So some things that parents can do to prepare their children for kindergarten is to really focus on the self-care skills. It may not seem like that big of a deal, but when you're a teacher in a class of over 20 kids, having students who can zip up their own coats, put on their own gloves, unzip and zip back up their lunch boxes, making sure that kids can blow their own nose, sneeze into their elbow, helps to not spread the germs that are sometimes very prevalent in the kindergarten classrooms.
Read, learn, and do math equations. No, and you have to do writing. You have to do writing and my tooth is lost.
Another thing we encourage in kindergarten is to make sure that children are helping each other. It's another way for them to build friendships and to show that they can solve problems together as a community without an adult always there.
That's a good question. How did you make all new friends?
He said hi. I just said hi and then said, what's your name? How I made friends friends is going from home to all kinds of places. My eyes are looking straight ahead. I'm ready for the call.
Learning how to handle the routines of the classroom, they're learning how to access the materials on their own, but all the while they're also building their identities as students and as learners, as writers, readers, mathematicians.
You can be nervous at the beginning of the year, but you don't have to be nervous in the middle or at the end of the year.
When do you get to go out on the playground?
After we eat your cheeseburger.
So sometimes the biggest concern we hear is that parents are worried that if their child will fit in, if they're going to be well liked, how they're going to make friends. And we do a lot of things purposefully in kindergarten to cultivate that, because those skills aren't just natural for children. One of the things is to be able to celebrate the uniqueness that each child brings, and all of their unique qualities inside and out. And we do a lot of things through self-portraits. We share stories about our families and about our likes and dislikes, and we make connections.
I like about kindergarten because we get to meet new friends. First you do arrival, and then you do morning reading, and then word study, and then you do and then you go to the bathroom, and then you do reader's workshop, and then read aloud, then math workshop, and then lunch, then you go to recess, and then you go to the bathroom again, and then you do PE, and then you do snack and mindfulness, and then you have choice time, and then you go back home.
Another concern that many caregivers have about children going to kindergarten for the first time is how they're going to get to kindergarten and safely get back from kindergarten. And so children who ride the bus, all the schools actually have very explicit lessons on how students enter the bus, line up for the bus, wait for the bus, where they sit on the bus. Oftentimes the bus drivers will have kindergarten students sit in the front of the bus, so it's less overwhelming. And within a couple of weeks, the kids have those routines down pat.
Don't worry, school will be fun. I like school. I love school. And then we go from A to Z, but what goes from Z to A? Zebra.
Oh, that's good.
I hope you enjoyed the video and learning about the importance of self-care skills in kindergarten and how kindergarten teachers are really intentional about teaching things like friendship skills, how to line up, or how to get on and off the bus. Those skills are just as important in kindergarten as academics. So let's move into talking about communication. How are we communicating with families about your child's kindergarten readiness? As you know, IEP meetings are held at least annually. The IEP annual meetings focus on progress your child has made with goals, as well as revising or developing new goals for the next year. Our pre-K teachers have checkpoint meetings with families that are held 3 times per year. These checkpoints focus on our teaching strategies, goal data, and objectives for preschool development. Checkpoint meetings and IEP meetings are a great time to talk to your child's teacher and be informed about your child's development so you can be prepared for the transition to kindergarten and what your child might need to be successful. Virtual meetings, phone calls, emails, and newsletters are other ways pre-K teachers stay in contact with families throughout the year about kindergarten transition. How are we communicating with schools about kindergarten transition? Your child's pre-K teacher will be in contact with the home school that your child may be attending, letting them know information about your child and sharing the IEP so the transition can be smooth and successful. Your child's pre-K teacher will also be collaborating with a resource teacher or a program specialist on appropriate kindergarten IEP goals for your child to make sure he or she will be working on what they need for a successful year in kindergarten. Your child's home school is determined by the district lines with your physical address. On the UCPS website, you can find school locator called Edulog and put your home address in to find what school is determined to be your child's home school. So let's move into the continuum of services in kindergarten for children with an IEP. A continuum of services means that UCPS offers placements from least restrictive to more restrictive environment to meet the needs of all students. There are typically 3 different types of educational settings to help your child be the most successful in school. General education within the regular kindergarten classroom with support from a special education teacher as deemed appropriate on the IEP is the setting we consider for every child coming to kindergarten. Some children have needs that require more support than a regular kindergarten classroom can offer and need more of a specialized setting classroom. And children who are medically fragile with severe medical conditions can receive services in their home or in the hospital. So as you can see, we move from the least restrictive setting in a regular education kindergarten classroom with resource support to a more restrictive placement of specialized setting. Now let's take a look at each of those settings more closely. Every elementary school offers exceptional children's resource support. Resource support to work on IEP goals can be provided in an EC classroom in a small group setting, or it can be provided in the regular education classroom by the EC teacher. Resource support means that a student is participating in a regular kindergarten classroom for a portion of the day and receiving specialized instruction from a resource teacher for a portion of the day. EC resource teachers typically provide specially designed instruction to support reading, writing, math, behavior, and social skills IEP goals. Students receiving resource support access Common Core state standards and general education kindergarten curriculum. When the IEP team meets for kindergarten transition to determine if resource support in the general education kindergarten classroom can meet your child's needs, the team looks at your child's ability to acquire the Common Core standards with support. Skills like being able to follow directions, complete tasks independently, self-help skills, and participation in large groups help determine if this placement will be successful for your child. The amount of time spent with a resource teacher is determined by the IEP team at the time of the kindergarten transition meeting, and it's based on your child's needs. It's important to know that a typical kindergarten classroom has approximately 24 students with one teacher. The resource classroom, where your child may receive resource support, will be a smaller group setting. Now let's move into a more restrictive placement setting. Some students need more support and specialized instruction. Union County Schools offers a specialized setting classroom that accesses an adapted curriculum and adapted standards. We call these classrooms extended content standards classrooms, which means students in this type of classroom are working on a modified version of Common Core standards. These classrooms have a smaller student to staff ratio, typically no more than 12 students per class with one teacher and at least one teacher assistant. The curriculum is based on extended content standards and IEP goals. We will show you an example of the extended content standards versus Common Core on the next slide. The ECS classrooms offer specialized instruction in academic, adaptive, functional, communication, social, and motor skills. Those classrooms utilize a variety of hands-on learning activities and communication modes based on the student's needs. You'll see a variety of communication devices in an ECS classroom, such as picture symbols or devices that talk for nonverbal students, as well as using a rich language-based instruction for those that need it. Our ECS classrooms are designed for students that have more significant overall developmental delays and need that small group instruction for all or most of the day. Students can be mainstreamed out of the ECS classrooms into a regular kindergarten classroom for subject areas or special areas or times of the day that the student can be successful. For example, a student in an ECS classroom may be in that classroom all day, every day, but mainstreamed out into the regular art classroom if that's something your child is interested in and can participate in more independently. Or they could be mainstreamed into a regular kindergarten classroom for something like circle time, if that's something the IEP team feels your child can be successful at. We want to give you an example of Common Core state standards and extended Common Core standards that you'll find in a specialized setting classroom. On your screen, you see the kindergarten mathematics and counting cardinality. The left-hand side describes the skills that students need to be able to do by the end of kindergarten, accessing Common Core state standards. And the right-hand side of the screen shows the extended standards for students in an extended content classroom. For example, in a regular kindergarten classroom, students are expected to count to 100 by ones and tens, count forward from a number such as 35 to a given sequence, in other words, not starting from number 1, and to write numbers 0 through 20 and represent them with corresponding objects. In a specialized setting classroom, that curriculum is modified to better meet the student needs. So students in an ECS classroom at the end of kindergarten would be expected to understand that number words represent a quantity, understand the concepts of one and more, count forward from 1 to 10, and write numbers from 1 to 10. Each Common Core kindergarten standard has an extended standard very similar to this example in math that you see, also in reading, writing, science, and social studies. If you're interested in looking more in depth at the Common Core standards and extended standards, you can find those on the Department of Public Instruction website. Your child's pre-K teacher can direct you to the location if you need help finding it. It's important to note that students who stay in an ECS classroom throughout their school career will not receive a high school diploma, but they will be recognized for their accomplishment by receiving a high school certificate. What is a communication, behavior, and CBS social skills classroom? You may hear it called a CBS classroom. You may hear it called a CBSS. I'm sorry, apologize. Our CBS classrooms are specialized setting classrooms for students with autism spectrum disorder or characteristics of the autism spectrum disorder. Typically, there are no more than 12 students with a teacher and a teacher assistant. Students in our CBSS classrooms should be able to access the Common Core state standards. The CBS classrooms weave explicit instruction in social skills, communication skills, and behavior skills throughout the day. These classrooms are highly structured environments that utilize best practices for students with autism. It's important to note that not every student who is eligible under the category of autism will need a CBSS classroom. The determination for kindergarten placement in this type of classroom is based on your child's needs and their ability to access the Common Core state standards. That placement will be determined at an IEP meeting. Communication, behavior, and social skills classrooms can look very different from a regular kindergarten classroom. You may see more individual seating arrangements with dividers for less distractions. You might see a lot of visual schedules, tools, and spaces to manage emotions and impulse control, and social stories with a lot of practice in social skills, such as how to say hello to a new friend. We want to note here that not all elementary schools have those ECS classrooms or the CBSS classrooms. For this reason, we don't discuss what school your child would go to. Rather, we discuss the type of placement your child may need if specialized setting is considered. You will be informed as soon as possible what school your child will attend if specialized setting is determined to be the placement at the IEP meeting. We strive to keep your child as close to their home school as possible if their home school does not have those type of placements. Students with a hearing or vision impairment can be served in a regular general education kindergarten classroom or a separate setting classroom, depending on the student's needs. Please reach out to your child's pre-K teacher to guide you through these options. Short-term homebound or hospital services are provided to students who are unable to attend school due to medical needs. This placement is made based on a physician's recommendation and is revisited throughout the year. Long-term homebound or hospital services are provided to students who are unable to attend school due to chronic medical needs. This placement is based on a physician's recommendation and is visited annually. Special transportation and related services such as speech therapy, occupational therapy, and physical therapy can all be provided in kindergarten as documented on your child's IEP. I know this is a lot of information and you're probably feeling a bit overwhelmed, but let's take a quick look at what the process of kindergarten transition looks like for families. First, you should have already received a kindergarten transition newsletter from your child's pre-K teacher that highlighted some of the things we talked about today. So your next step is to register your child for kindergarten at the home school he or she will be attending through Scribbles by the end of February. The link to Scribbles for kindergarten transition will be posted on the UCPS website. You'll need several documents to register your child, so be sure you have all the documents you need for registration. If the IEP team decides that your child will attend a specialized setting classroom at you will continue to register him or her at the home school. Your child's pre-K teacher will contact you by the end of February to discuss what educational settings need to be considered for your child. And last, all kindergarten transition IEP meetings will be held by the end of May. Your child's teacher will be contacting you to set that meeting up. Depending on the annual review date of your child's IEP, you could possibly have a separate meeting to review and update that IEP, or it might be combined with the kindergarten transition meeting. But your child's pre-K teacher will guide you through all of this. That's the quick overview of what these next few months will look like. Your child's pre-K teacher is your point of contact through this entire process, so don't hesitate to reach out to them. Thank you for joining me today. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to your kindergarten teacher for any questions about this PowerPoint. Thank you again for joining me today.